PALDEA Evolved is officially out as of today, and we're going to be looking at the 10 cards that you absolutely have to know. Hey, Nick from 9card TCG, and today we are looking at the top 10 cards from PALDEA Evolved that if you're not going to buy, you at least have to know about. We're using the proxies from justinbasil.com, link in the video description. Great site, good friend of the channel, go check it out. The reason we're using proxies is because it's still a little hard to find clear images of the English version, so we're going to use the proxies. They're just as good. With all that said, we're going to get straight to it. Kicking off the list, we have Spiritomb, Pitch Black Disaster. I think it's like Fettered in Misery, Fettered in Misfortune. That's what the card says. And the ability is, as long as this Pokemon is in play, basic Pokemon V have no abilities, which is really, really cool. And this is going to affect 4 cards specifically. Lumineon V, it's gonna anything with the fleet-footed, so mostly Raikou. Maybe we'll see Suicune in Baxcalibur Water Box decks, maybe. Drapion V, and then also Genesect V. Although Genesect V has a way to get around it by using Fusion Strike Energy. Fusion Strike Energy says when it's attached to the Fusion Strike Pokemon, they're not affected by your abilities on your opponent's Pokemon. So Spiritomb would no longer stop Genesect from using Fusion Strike system, which is a little unfortunate. So number 9 on the list is Tinglu, 240 health, fighting type Pokemon with a grass weakness, which is pretty nice. It's good to have a fighting type that's not weak to Psychic. It does have a monstrous retreat cost of 4, so something to keep in mind. But our ability is the appeal of this Pokemon, Earth and Curse. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's Pokemon that have damage counters on them have no abilities, with the exception of Pokemon EX. And I understand why they excluded Pokemon EX from this ability. We just got them. We already can't be turning them off. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. But however, we can turn off things like the Curlias in the Gardevoir EX deck. We can turn off the Baxcaliburs in Chien-Pao decks. We can turn off Archeops in Lugia decks. We can turn off Lugia because it's not a Pokemon EX if we wanted to. So there are a lot of things we could still disrupt with a card like Tinglu. You just won't be able to go after the specific Pokemon EX, so you won't be able to turn off Chien-Pao, as annoying as that is, but everything else that Chien-Pao wants to make use of could be turned off. The attack Land Scoop for 3 fighting energies, which is a little much to ask for, considering that we don't have any good fighting type acceleration, and we can't even pants with Arceus because it's not a Pokemon V. However, Land Scoop, 3 fighting energies, 150 damage, put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, which does kind of contribute further to Earth and Curse. We can use the Flying Entry Holucha, we play it from the hand to the bench, put a damage counter on 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. We have things like Radiant Alakazam, where we can go ahead and move damage counters around. So like we have some stuff to use with Tinglu. You really don't want to pair it with Path to the Peak, because then you turn off Tinglu's own ability. Sure, you turn off the Pokemon EX's ability, but you turn off your ability too, so there's kind of a balance there. But Tinglu, not bad. With things like Charm of Courage and the Lake Acuity, we can get the health all the way up to 310 on a basic EX Pokemon. It's pretty good. Number 8. The Stadium card, Artazone. During each player's turn, you may search your deck for a basic Pokemon that does not have a rule box and put it onto their bench. You do have to have a bench spot to use this, and you can't unfortunately get something like a Lugia V or an Arceus V and say, oh, I just slapped this Artazon in my deck and now my consistency problems are solved. Unfortunately, it does explicitly state non-rule box Pokemon, so no Radiants, no Vs, no EXs. You know, you can get your Comfeys and your Cramorants and your Ralts and things like that, but really nothing I'm going to use it for personally, but you know, it's still worth mentioning, I guess. Number 7, Jet Energy is a pretty good energy card, and one that got revealed a very long time ago that we are finally getting here in the western part of the world. Jet Energy, when you attach this card from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon, switch it with your active. This is a great card for things like Comfeys, because if you have a Comfey in the active and you used Flower Selecting, and you have a Comfey on the bench that has not used Flower Selecting, what you can do is attach the Jet Energy to the benched Comfey. It then goes to the active, you can Flower Select it. Now you have a colorless energy, so you can discard it to retreat into either a third Comfey or, you know, a Cramorant or something else that you might want to use for the turn. So for a single energy, we get 2 switches, which is really, really nice. It's probably going to be used mostly in Lost Zone decks, maybe like Lost Zone Giratina decks, Lost Zone Box, whatever. But I would expect things like Lost Zone to make the most use of it. Although I could see it having a place in a deck like Lugia that one wants to make use of special energy and doesn't really have space for switches. So something like a Jet Energy could be kind of nice. Number 6 is a personal favorite of mine, Reversal Energy, as long as it's attached to a Pokemon that provides a single colorless energy. However, if you have more prizes remaining than your opponent, and the Pokemon that this card is attached to is an evolution Pokemon without a rule box, it now provides 3 energies of every type. This is incredible because I personally play Lugia. Archeops is an non-rule box evolution Pokemon that has an attack cost of 3, and you can just slap for a single energy attachment. You can get this Reversal Energy onto an Archeops when you are down on prizes and now hit with Speed Wing for 120 damage, which if you normally attach a DTE and something else to an Archeops, you can't knock out a Cramorant because you only do 100 damage. But now with the Reversal Energy, 1 energy attachment and you're doing the full 120. It's really, really good. You could throw in the Luxray. There's a new Luxray that's coming, Swelling Flash. Once your turn as a Pokemon is in your hand and you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, put it onto your bench. So now you slap the Luxray onto the bench, and because you already have more prizes remaining than your opponent to play the Luxray, its attack is Lightning Double Colorless. So that means we can accelerate on 1 Reversal Energy, and now we get to use the attack's Wild Charge for 180, and it does 20 damage to itself. But 180 out of nowhere on a single prize Pokemon for 1 energy attachment is really, really good. And the Lightning weakness is something that you're probably going to see a little bit between Water Box decks and Lugia decks, things like that. So something to keep in mind. The other deck that really makes use of this is Gardevoir decks, right? Because Shining Arcana is a non-rule box evolution Pokemon. The Shining Arcana Gardevoir, the Gallades, another non-rule box evolution Pokemon. So you can really make use of something like Reversal Energy in Lugia and Gardevoir decks specifically. But I already have a few of them, and I'm very happy for it. Next up, we have Superior Energy Retrieval. You can only use this card if you discard 2 other cards from your hand. Put 4 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. You can't choose a card with the effect, you can't choose a card that you discarded with the effect of this card. So, what does that mean? Well, first, if we discard 2 random cards, we get rid of, a Luxray and a Spiritomb. We discard them with Superior Energy Retrieval. We can go ahead and get 4 energy cards from our discard pile into our hand, which is something that Chien-Pao decks really, really want to make use of. Now, it does say basic energy, so we're not able to use this in Lugia decks to help recover energy, because that would be absolutely insane. What we can't do is we have 2 water energies in the discard, and then we have 2 energies in our hands. We can't discard 2 energies with Superior Energy Retrieval and then pick up all 4. Can't do that, right? Because we can't choose the water energies that we just discarded. So, something to keep in mind. It's a really good card, and it's going to be used in, like I said, mostly Chien-Pao decks. I'm sure there are other type of decks that use a lot of basic energies that might want to recover them, but for now, when you see Superior Energy Retrieval, think Chien-Pao. Number 4, Squawkabilly EX. It's a basic EX. Show Off is the ability once during your first turn. You can only use this on your first turn of the game. Discard your hand and draw 6. You can't use more than 1 Show Off each turn, which means you can only use 1 Show Off the entire game, because you can only use it on your first turn, and you can't use more than 1 each turn. So one Show Off for the entire game. Now, I personally think that this is going to be really, really good for Lugia decks. Why? Well, Lugia, if you go first, you have a pretty good chance of finding your Lugia V and Archeops and stuff like that, getting them to their discard for turn 2. If you go second, well, now you have the Squawkabilly. Throw it down, discard your entire hand, draw 6 cards. You can play a research. Like, there's so many things that you can do. I really, really like this card. I don't know if it's going to be. It is not as good as Dedenne or Crobat. Now, if you notice, Dedenne said when you played it from your hand to the bench, discard your hand, draw 6. Crobat, play it from your hand to the bench, draw until you have 6. Squawk ability, you can only use it on your first turn. Discard your hand, draw 6. So they're getting a little bit weaker as time goes on, which, you know, is probably good for the game, but as someone who plays a deck that's a little bit inconsistent like Lugia, not a big fan. But anyway, Squawk ability, expect to know it. It's a pretty good card. I kind of like it. Psych Up, attach 2 basic energies from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon for a single colorless energy. I mean, could be something, maybe, probably not. Could be something, 160 health kind of stinks, but hey, you know, it's, like I said, it's something. It's really just a consistency piece. Number 3, Chien-Pao. This is where we start getting into the most powerful cards of the set. 220 health, water type Pokemon. It is not weak to lightning, it is weak to metal, and there's really no metal in the format at all. Trampling Frost. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, search your deck for up to 2 basic water energies, put them into your hand. Really, really good ability, because if you have multiple Chien-Paos, you can use multiple Trembling Frost, or I think like Shivery Chill is the name in English, and it's a capacious bucket for free. Just be in the active, get 2 water energies from your deck. Now you're getting energies, you're thinning the deck, you can do it multiple times. Really, really good. Hail Blade for 2 water energies. It does 60 damage times the number of water energies you discard from your Pokemon. You could discard water energy from any of your Pokemon, so you can spread those out all across the bench and then just choose where you want to get rid of the energies. It's really, really solid. This card is very fast paced. It's very powerful. It has technically I don't want to say an unlimited damage cap, but it has an extremely high damage cap, and 220 health is pretty good on a basic Pokemon. Throw again a Charm of Courage on there. Now it's a 270 health Pokemon, a little bit harder to KO, and this really doesn't get very far without number 2 on our list, Baxcalibur. It has the absolute 0 ability. It's Deluge or Rain Dance if you're familiar with older cards that like, you know, the OG base set Blastoise. As often as you like during your turn, attach a basic 1 energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. This Baxcalibur, any water energy you want from your hand to any of your Pokemon. It doesn't even have to be another water type Pokemon. You can attach this to a colorless Pokemon like Squawk ability if you wanted to. You can attach it to anything that you want to, which is incredible. So if you run some other random Pokemon in your deck, you can attach water energies to it to free retreat. Really, really good. Then use the superior energy retrieval to get those discarded water energies from Chien-Pao or from retreating or from getting when you get knocked out or whatever, to then you put them back into your hand. Baxcalibur, absolute 0 them back onto the field, and you have such a powerful loop. Chien-Pao is nowhere near as good without Baxcalibur, which is why I think Baxcalibur is higher than the actual Chien-Pao. The same reason why people would probably rate Archeops higher than Lugia, because without Archeops, Lugia is really, really bad. So something to keep in mind. Now, before we get into the final card, which if you're familiar with the Pokemon TCG, you probably didn't know what it is, we are going to take a look at just 3 very quick honorable mentions. The first one is anything with the Wings of Unity or United Wings attack. They all kind of go together. I think it's an interesting archetype. I don't know how good it's going to be, at least worth trying. Super Odd, shuffle up to 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energies from your discard into your deck. It's really nice. It's going to be good. I think Arceus decks can make use of it. Anything that really wants to recover Pokemon without having to use something like Miriam, whatever could be. It's just a nice extra thing to have some recovery. And then the last honorable mention we already talked about briefly is the Luxray. Play it from your hand straight to the bench without needing to evolve. If your opponent has fewer prizes than you, wild charge, 180 damage. Attach 1 reversal energy, come out of nowhere, single prize Pokemon, hits real hard. It's worth knowing. I expect that you'll see it. And then the best card from the set, the card you absolutely, you need to buy this one. If nothing else from what we talked about, you have to buy this card, and it is Iono. Iono, each player shuffles their hand and puts it to the bottom of their deck, and then you draw cards equal to the number of prizes you have remaining. At the beginning of the game, this is a really good consistency card for you. Mid to late game, it's a really good disruption piece against your opponent. It does it all, and in the case of, we talked about this in a previous video, if you are playing something like an Arceus deck, but really wants to keep, or even Lugia, you want to keep your energies in your deck for acceleration with Arceus or Archeops, kind of worked. You can, if you have a bunch of energies in your opening hand, you say, okay, well, I'm gonna play Iono. And those energies are not just going to go in the deck for you to potentially draw again, they're going to go to the bottom of the deck. So you know with absolute certainty that you will not draw those specific cards again, which, you know, again, if you see a bunch of things that you don't want, that's really, really good. And when you go to disrupt your opponent later, your opponent's playing Lost Zone decks, and, you know, they only have 2 prizes remaining, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to Iono you down to 2 cards. Good luck finding exactly what you need when you know all those cards that in your hand, those 11 cards in your hand, are now put to the bottom of the deck. Have fun digging through the rest of your deck before you get to those specifically. So this card is going to be, it's gonna be very, very good. It is very, very good. And it's going to be a little frustrating at times. You're going to get hit with the Iono, you're going to get put down to 1, you're going to draw your card, you're going to top deck, and you're going to say, damn it, there's just nothing I can do off of this. It's gonna sting a little bit at times, and you're going to do it back to your opponent, and you're going to say, here you go, enjoy, have fun drawing your 1 pathetic card, you know, and then your opponent can tell you that my grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards. And then they draw Karibo, and they play that, and they get disqualified. Because why are they playing Karibo in Pokemon? That's not how this game works. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Tells YouTube this is a good channel. Other people should watch it. What card or deck from Paldea Evolved are you most excited for? For me personally, it's going to be the Iono and the Reversal Energy. Those are the things I want the most. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. I want to say thank you very much to our member Cubs and Ursas, Fernando Ortiz, Black Winds, Mike the Highest, Chin Pacoman. Thank you all so much for your support. It means the world to me. And if you want to become a member, you can click the YouTube member thing on the bottom and get your name read out as well.